Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the studios of Grafton Community Television, located at 26 Providence Road. This is Meet the Candidate. I'm your host, Bob DeToma. I have two guests in studio today. They are both running for the trustees of the Grafton Public Library. On the far right is Roger Trahan, and nearest to me is Carrie Hogan. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks
for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. The Grafton Public Library is either your favorite place or you've never been there, right?
But then you go there and then it's your favorite place.
That's a great way to finish that sentence, yeah. The role of the trustees is what? You start, right.
The role of the trustees, high level, is to oversee and be custodian of the Grafton Public Library facilities, and throughout the fiscal year to not only develop a budget, but to oversee that budget, all the expenses and all the receipts and so forth and so on, and also to be advocates of the public library, and where applicable to amend and create policy. There are about a couple of dozen policies that the library abides by, and also applying for grants and really getting to know everything about the library, how it works, getting to work closely with the library director and staff, and to really represent the library to the community. So,
you want to add something to that long list?
Sure, yeah, I think that was an excellent job, excellent list.
He was prepared.
Yeah, he was very prepared. So yeah, as trustees, you support the library, so the physical building, but also the staff, and making sure that the library meets the needs of the Grafton community. That's the overarching goal, is to make sure, the library really serves as the heart of the community, in my opinion, and we want to make sure that it's not just a beautiful facility, but it's one that's well used and well loved by the whole community.
As a layman on the outside looking in, when I review the videos of the meetings when the trust gets together, and I often think that the relationship between the director, Beth, and the Board of Trustees is very similar to the relationship that I share with the Cable Oversight Committee. They're almost lockstep in the way they follow their protocols. You present the budget, they okay the budget, and so on. You think that's a fair analysis?
Yeah, I do. And so the board serves as a sounding board for the director. So the director, is there every day, working with the staff, mentoring the staff, but then coming to the trustees and reviewing ideas, and also looking for help solving problems as well. So the board will act as an advocate, as well.
Okay. Why don't we take them? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, I was simply going to say that we really wouldn't get involved in the day-to-day operations, right? But would be integral in really developing that which impacts the day-to-day.
Why don't we take a moment at this point and assume that there's a billion people out there who don't know who you are. So why don't you give us a quick thumbnail sketch of your background and why you wanted to run, and we'll start with you.
Okay, Roger Trahan, 4 Old Upton Road, here in Grafton. Been in Grafton, built here in 2000. My lovely bride of 29 years, Lori. My son, Blake, who's 12. His birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday,
Happy
Blake.
birthday, Blake.
And our poodle, Bailey, who's 7. And I grew up in Worcester, went to Assumption College. I've always worked in Worcester. I'm an insurance professional and insurance broker. So I'm a data geek, a word nerd, a desk guy, all right? Balancing that with good social skills. So I've always dove into that which has involved technical matter and such throughout my work career, and moving, fast forwarding from volunteer work, which I've done as early as my late teens, and fast forwarding to my time here in Grafton. I've served in a number of capacities: Finance Committee, Chair Bylaw Review Committee, elected town moderator for a term, and most recently I'm the current chair of the Accessibility Advisory Commission, formerly known as Disability Commission. So I've been chair for 3.5 years. No one seems to want to be chair. So I've worn that hat, preparing agendas and meeting packets, running the meetings, interfacing with community leaders and other stakeholders. So I've always been a volunteer, both with social services. I'm a social service major in college, but also volunteering for community. I think I have the talents and the time and the drive to successfully serve on boards and committees and to tackle the matter at hand and basically get along with people. So I thought that this would be a good opportunity now to run for library trustees. I won't lie, it makes it easier when I'm running unopposed, okay? And I'll thank Martin Essner and Karen Sepitelli, who have decided not to run, and they've left the 2 vacancies for us to walk in.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, I believe strongly in libraries, and high level twofold. Free speech is under attack. Censorship, we're seeing it nationwide. I think libraries are an integral part of our democracy. That free speech, the ability to read what you want, to express yourself in the way that you want, is key to that. And the other thing is that libraries are basically cultural centers for lifelong education. And we see that with the schools, creating lifelong learners. Libraries are a place for lifelong learning. So I think I can contribute to really maintain and improve areas related to protecting free speech, really fighting any attempts at censorship, and also really enhancing the programs so people can be lifelong learners. So.
I think he got. I don't know.
Did he hit all of your points?
Well, I would just like to say I'm so happy that we're both running for 2 open seats. So and I also share his appreciation for Karen, for Marty, who served very well. So thank you for that.
Just step forward.
Sure. So I'm Carrie Hogan, 17 Craftsman Court in South Grafton. So I love libraries, and also very much a fan of lifelong learning as well. So as far as my background goes, I grew up down the road in Milford, moved to town in January of 2004. I have 2 daughters, a sophomore in high school and an 8th grader over at the middle school. So they've lived in Grafton their entire lives. So very much a fan of Grafton. And with regards to my background, so I did my undergrad at Babson College and majored in accounting, minored in literature, because I really do love literature and reading. And you worked and got my MBA at Boston College at the Carroll School of Management, and I got my CPA, when I was in my first job. So right now I work at Olympus over in Westboro. It's an international company, medical device company. I actually work in IT, but I use my accounting background and I work with management systems. So Oracle is really kind of my main system. So as far as, in my day-to-day job, I manage projects all the time. So whether we're doing an implementation, whether we're doing an upgrade, implementing new functionality, I'm interfacing with different people throughout the company all the time in helping to manage budgets, making sure that projects are delivered on time, on budget, and deliver the functionality that we need. So,
do you have a sense of what your first tasks might be on day 1 when you take a seat on the board?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually served on the board. I was elected back in 2014. I served a term. I was reelected, but had to step down to a health issue that I had at the time. Since that time, I've actually still been very active in the library. I think most people that know me know I'm a little bit crazy about the library. So I actually serve on the board of the Friends of the Grafton Public Library, and been president for a few terms. Right now we're rotating, kind of running our meetings, which has been really kind of fun. But I've been really active in the library with on the Friends side with doing things to support the library. For example, we do book sales, so we raise money that way. We just had our egg hunt on the con, which a lot of people really enjoy. So I've seen a different perspective working for the Friends. So when I look back to when I was elected the first time, I kind of had my idea of what needed to be done. And then I served and I got that perspective. And then I went kind of onto the Friends Board, and now I have a whole other perspective. And I've worked really closely with the library director and also the staff. So I'm seeing kind of their perspective as well. And of course I have my own community perspective, being a mom to two teenagers and seeing how they're using the library. So so back then, when I joined the board in 2014, the primary challenges were really with the building and accessibility. That was an urgent need that we needed to address. And we're so fortunate that we have this beautiful building, and it is fully accessible now, which is wonderful. So now the challenge is to help maintain the building, make sure that we continue to maintain the structure, but also we want to make sure that it's not just a beautiful building, but it serves the needs of the community. And the biggest challenge that I see right now is with staffing. There's been a lot of trouble with staffing, with some people out on medical leave. So there's a struggle right now, and has been some times when some of the rooms have had to be closed. So just trying to help shore up the staffing, making sure that the library has what it needs so that it can do the best job possible for the community, and that it's responsive to what the community wants and needs.
Okay. What have you got your eyes set on?
Money. All right. All right. So
this is a voluntary interview. There's no cash transaction.
No. I love volunteering. And as far as money, we have grant opportunities. Aside from the fact that, as Carrie said, I'm psyched that the building's accessible and it makes life easier for everyone. But also, one of the things as I have sat on Accessibility Advisory Commission, we most recently in the past year helped the library secure an assistive technology grant for screen readers and bookbinding readers and such. But that particular grant was through the municipal grant for a Mass Office on Disability. Currently, there's a grant going on with Mass Historic for the cupola on the roof.
Yep.
But oftentimes, libraries in any part of a municipality is limited in the type of grants they go to, because the organizations that are granting that money require organizations to be a nonprofit, a 501c3. And so we have two nonprofits that are related. The first, as Carrie said, Friends of the Grafton Public Library. But there was also one created during the building process that was, I think you're one of the officers of, and it's a capital campaign.
Yeah, Dana Wilson formed it as the president and the vice president.
And even though the wording of the initial charge on tax documents talks about, or kind of presumes that it could be limited to the initial building project, I don't see where it couldn't be morphed into extending in perpetuity.
There's no plans to shut it down, and I am part of the capital campaign.
Yep.
We've raised $1 million, which has helped fund things that the grant just couldn't do. So there's, the MBLC has a lot of restrictions as to what you can put into the grant or not. Things like furniture and that were covered by the grant. So, and the capital campaign is paying for an assessment to be done for the cupola. So the capital campaign is funding that.
You just said something that triggered a question. So who has more sway? Maybe that's not the right word. Who has more interaction on a daily basis with the library overall? The Commonwealth or the town?
The town.
Okay.
I think the town.
But are there specific guidelines that
Definitely,
Beth has to
yes.
be aware of and has to follow?
Oh, yes. So absolutely. So day to day, it's serving the Grafton community. But to keep accreditation, there's certain requirements for that. Also, when Beth goes to submit her budget to the town, which is coming up for May town meeting, She also has to make sure that there's a certain level of funding for materials for the library. So they look at how much was funded last year, how much is funded this year. So you couldn't submit a budget last year and say, okay, this year we don't need any more books. We're not going to submit any books. Like, we could do that, but we would lose accreditation. And there are towns that have done that. Franklin actually lost accreditation for their library. That would be the last thing that I would want to see happen, that we would lose our accreditation.
I think there's an opportunity there to, on an ongoing basis, seek opportunities for funding that a municipality or a library may not, just by virtue of being a nonprofit. And so, but along the lines of Carrie mentioning, excuse me, about the accreditation and the resources, we're part of a regional Central Western Mass resource
Central
sharing
West,
system of about 100 cities and towns. So
CW Mars.
CW Mars. And so
I'm familiar with it. My wife is on it every day.
it is an amazing opportunity to be in a regionalized system where if Grafton doesn't have a material that any one of these other 100 towns may have. So it behooves everyone to do their best at having each of their libraries have enough materials, and we benefit. Name any of those cities and towns. We want them to succeed too. So,
Okay, well, we've gone right up to our 20-minute mark, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes to address the camera. You'll each get an opportunity, and we'll start with you, Roger. There's the public.
okay, I'm Roger Trahan, and I'm running for the one of 2 open seats for Grafton Board of Library Trustees on Tuesday, May 16th. I'd appreciate your vote. I've been involved for the past 20 years in many capacities, both elected and appointed on various committees, and I believe in libraries, and I'm ready to tackle this next role to be one of the 7 overseers as one of the trustees, and I will not fail you. I'm also going to let the public know I'm really big into transparency, so if anyone wants to reach me, I'm at 508-335-0507, or by email at rtrahan@hotmail.com. I'm aging myself with that Hotmail address, but it's rtrahanjr@hotmail.com. I'd be happy to speak with you if you have any questions, but I'd really appreciate your vote. So Tuesday, May 16th. Thank you.
And Carrie,
Perfect,
I
great.
invite you to take your shot.
Thank you, Bob, so much, and thank you, Grafton Cable Television, for this opportunity. I think the whole series is just fantastic, and I've really been appreciating watching it. So for the Grafton community, thank you so much for participating and voting. Please make sure that you vote on May 16th, not just for Roger and myself, but for all the wonderful candidates. In Grafton, your vote really does count, and make sure that you exercise that opportunity. And again, I really love the library, have a lot of experience with the library, so I think that I'll do a great job on the board, and I hope that you do as well. Thank you.
My guests this afternoon have been Carrie Hogan and Roger Trahan. They are running for the 2 open seats on the Library Board of Trustees for the town of Grafton. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you, Bob.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Yeah,
You're
thank you, Bill.
welcome. Thank you. On behalf of all the talented people that work here at Grafton Community Television, you've been watching Meet the Candidate. Thank you for watching. I'm Bob Totoma.